Good morning, class 7. I hope you people have done well in the exams. From today onwards, we will start with the online classes. We will begin the chapter Response of Plants and Animals. First of all, you are going to write the new terms in your notebook the way you have been doing. First word, survive. It means to remain alive. That is something which is living. Acclimatization, that is accustomed to new change, that is getting used to the new change which is taking place. Stimulus, that begins an activity. Anchor, keeping object in its place. Now don't get confused with the brand which is anchor. Here it means that keeping the object in its place. Odor, that is the fragrance or smell. So here odor means bad smell. Scarcity, that is shortage. Canopy, topmost layer of the forest. Swift is quick and not the car. Streamlined, designed to move with minimum resistance. So this is there they are talking about the fish which is streamlined, which has a streamlined body. Now let's begin with the chapter. Environment is the external factor that affect living organisms. The external factor may be biotic or abiotic. Major external factors are temperature, wind, rainfall, light, humidity, etc. All organisms interact with these external factors to live. Both environment as well as the organisms are changed during the interaction. So here they are talking about the external factor which affects the living organism. It can be biotic or it can be abiotic. And the factors which they are talking about are temperature, wind, rainfall, light, humidity, and lot of other things also. All organisms they interact with the external factors. Both environment as well as organism are changed during the interaction. Obviously, when they come in touch or come in contact with each other, there are certain changes. Area in which these external conditions are same is called habitat. That is a place where they live. All organisms live in their habitats or in an area in which the external conditions suit them. Forest, desert, wetlands, mountains are important habitat on the earth. All the habitats are subject to changes. For example, changes in temperature or rainfall will lead to changes in the habitats. An area that is receiving annual rainfall of 150 centimeters of rainfall may or may not receive similar amount of rainfall after 20 years. So with time there might be some changes. Therefore, you must have read in the newspaper that, in 2007, on this day, the temperature was this, or the day was like this. So, obviously, it is not same every day. Change in one external factor brings change in other factors, and slowly the condition in the habitat change considerably. Now, adaptation. When the conditions in our habitat change, it is very likely that the organisms will respond to that change. Now, when the condition in the habitat, like where they are living, if it changes, there are possibilities that they will respond to that change. Like they have to change in order to survive. Like for example, when an animal has to survive, it has to adapt to the changes in which are taking place. They have to change in order to survive. Such change in that organism is called adaptation. Like I have given you example once that when you talk about Sundarbans, the tigers living there, they eat fish, and that is the only place. So for survival, they have adapted themselves. All organisms have certain adaptive characters like fins of fish, wings of birds, thorns of cacti, etc. Amount of change in the organism depends on the amount of change of the external condition. If mild change has taken place in the external factor, then change in the organism will also be mild, and vice versa. So if the change is mild, they accordingly the change in the organism will also be mild. But if it is major, too much of change is there, then the change which the organism adapts, that will also be too much. So organism or plants and animal experience two types of adaptations: physiological adaptation and evolutionary adaptation. Now physiological adaptation, it adapts to the sudden change in the environment. It is called physiological adaptation. It involves the process of acclimatization. In this type of adaptation, the effect of adaptation is little. So the effect is little. That's what we were studying. Like if the change is little, the adaptation will be less. Evolutionary adaptation. When an organism adapts to the slow and ever changing environment, it is called evolutionary adaptation. Unlike physiological, it is a slow course of adaptation, but the effect of adaptation, of evolutionary adaptation, can be massive. So, in the process of adaptation, certain changes are likely to take place in the organism. For some organisms, these changes are beneficial, and for others, these can be harmful. Now, evolutionary, that is, it takes gradually, but it is like, massive change could be felt or seen. Like here, they have given you the example of dinosaurs. You can see that, like human beings, you must have heard that, initially we also were like the primates. Gradually, with there were evolution, and there were changes which is seen. So here they have given you the example of dinosaurs. They could not survive because they failed to cope up with the changes in the environment. Some scientists believe that during the time of dinosaurs, some primitive mammals appeared on the surface of the earth. Their food was the egg of dinosaurs. It led to the falling in the number of dinosaurs, which ultimately led to the extinction of these mighty animals from the earth. So, they couldn't adapt to the changes which were taking place, and then there were two things, like there certain mammals have come up who were eating the eggs of these dinosaurs. So obviously both these reasons caused the um, animals these animals to become extinct, or beneficial for others. Like in process of adaptation, certain changes are likely to take place in the organism. For some organisms, these changes are beneficial, and for others they can be harmful. Organisms that cannot cope with the changes will become extinct. Many species of organisms have become extinct whose fossils are found today. Example, dinosaurs. Those organisms who are able to cope up with the changes, they survive. So, like if you have heard about the term, uh, what do you call? That because human beings also were animals, so like initially the primates, so they also had the tail, but gradually what happened was that the use of tail was like not there for human beings. So gradually that became like that nowadays we do not have that tail, but still there is one part in the body which if which is certain time at times has to be operated, and like it's not necessary in all the human beings, but in certain cases, because now we don't need the tail, so that part has become extinct, but still that thing is there. And like right now I cannot recall the name. I'll recall it and I'll send you on the Google Classroom. Tropism. Tropism is the response of organism or one of its parts towards the stimuli like heat or light. The stimuli is the process of beginning of change. The movement of organism may be positive or negative. The positive tropism is when an organism moves towards the stimulus, and negative is when it moves away from the stimulus. The tropism is visible in plants as well as in animals. So it is the response of organism or one of its part towards the stimuli. Like you must have seen that if you put a plant like which needs sunlight, and if you have kept it inside, so if little bit of sunlight also is visible, the branches, you will see that it starts growing in that direction, because that is what it needs. So that is what you call tropism. All green plants are autotrophic, that is, they make their own food. The food is made of water, light, carbon dioxide, and inorganic molecules. Phototrophism. Some plants depend too much on light for their food. Such plants are called phototrophic, that is, they grow towards a source of light. Charles Darwin has demonstrated in 1880 that the growing tip of plant is directed towards the source of light. This phenomena is called phototrophism. He also observed that some shade plants do not need bright light, therefore, they turn away from bright light. This is called negative phototrophism. So, you can see this is the example which I was telling you, that if the plant needs sunlight, they will start moving in that direction, growing in that direction rather. And if it is that doesn't need the light, they will grow away, turn away from the sunlight. Then geotrophism. When a seed is sown in the soil, it germinates after some days. The young root tends to grow downwards, regards regardless of the direction of the sown seed. This downward growth of plant root is called geotrophism. This is positive geotrophism and it helps the plant to anchor in the soil. The negative geotrophism is when the root of plant grows upward. So when it grows downward, it is you can say it is the positive trophism. When it grows upward, it is the negative geotrophism. Hydrotrophism. Geotrophism, whether positive or negative, is modified by the availability of water. Once the root grow from seed, they need water. The root therefore grows towards the source of water. When water is available near the surface, the roots do not penetrate much in the soil. When water is available at the depth, the root will grow downwards. The response of plant towards source of water is called hydrotrophism. So once the root of the seed that grows, that needs water obviously, so they start growing towards the source of water wherever they get water. And when water is available nearby, the roots do not penetrate. They do not have to move much because they are already getting the water. But if they are not getting the water, if the water is available down in depth, then the root will grow downwards. So this response towards the water is called hydrotrophism. So hydro, as the name itself means water, so you can understand that is hydro, towards the growing towards the water. So that's all for today, class. Please read the chapter. I will be sending you the exercises today. Do them in your notebook. Take care of yourself. Thank you.